Hey YouTube, if you are new here, my name is Teralyn and I recently have been making a lot of videos about infertility and my experience with my infertility journey so far. I just like to put my story out there. It makes a really big difference to me when women are leaving comments on my videos telling me that they've been through something similar or asking my advice. I absolutely love that. So if you wanted to leave me a comment, if you had any questions about this video, just leave me a comment and I will do my best to get back to you. So before I go any further with this video, I just want to put a trigger warning on this content. If you are looking for a video that is a positive experience with an HSG procedure, then it might be better to just click off of this video. I will be honest, the HSG procedure was terrible. So I don't want to lie about it. I don't want to sugarcoat it. I am here to share my real story. I am going to say the anatomically correct words here. So if you don't want to hear the words vagina and cervix and uterus, then I'm sorry, but that's what it is. So the reason that my procedure was so terrible was because I have blocked fallopian tubes, and that was really what made it painful. The HSG procedure is typically one of the first tests that you will get done when you go to an OBGYN for infertility. So I live in Canada, and the way the process works is you have your family doctor, which is just a GP, a general practitioner, and then you have OBGYNs. So they deliver babies and follow you in your pregnancies and C-sections and all that stuff. I went to my family doctor for infertility. She referred me to an OBGYN who then referred me to have the HSG procedure done. It's called a hysterosalpingogram, HSG for short. Basically, the procedure itself is where they insert a catheter through the cervix into the uterus. They push contrast fluid through the catheter into the uterus, and at the same time as the contrast fluid is going through your uterus and tubes, they're taking x-rays so they can see inside your uterus and basically your whole pelvis. So if you have open fallopian tubes, the contrast dye will go through your uterus and through the tubes and out into your pelvis. And they will be able to see that on the x-ray that it went through the tubes. And they can also see things like fibroids and scar tissue adhesions and things like that with this test. Now we get to the juicy stuff, the juicy juice. To my story. I got to the hospital for my procedure. I had been told by the OBGYN's clinic to take a Tylenol before I went to the procedure. So I took my Tylenol, I went to the hospital, the nurse gave me a gown to change into, and I did that. I followed her to the x-ray room and I laid down on the x-ray table. I had done a ton of research. I knew that this procedure could be quite painful. There were women who said it hurt a lot, and there were some women who said it didn't hurt at all. So I knew it was a possibility that it would be painful. I felt so naive after because I said to the nurse, oh, I get migraines, I have endometriosis, I got this, I can handle pain. I said I have a very high pain tolerance, which I still do believe is true. I do have a high pain tolerance. So I laid down on the table and the doctor came in. He was 20 minutes late. And he came in, he had scrubbed, he was all ready to go. He inserted the speculum and his phone rang. And he answered his phone while he had tools inside of my body. He had to go and re-scrub in because this is obviously a procedure inside of my body. So now I'm waiting even longer. I have a speculum in me, which they're not the most comfortable device. So I'm laying there pissed off, wishing I should speak up, and I didn't. He comes back, he puts the catheter through my cervix, which was extremely uncomfortable, but it wasn't painful. It's like a pinching feeling. But after that, his phone rang again. So now I've got a speculum and a catheter shoved up there, and he gets back on the phone again. He goes ahead and he pushes the contrast fluid through the catheter and into my uterus. And right away, I could feel this warm feeling. I could feel that I was filling with something. And it very quickly turned to extremely painful. It felt like hot lava had been poured in me. It was a searing, intense pressure and pain. And the reason is that it hurt so much is because my tubes were blocked, so it was essentially like expanding my uterus to push that fluid through. I could see the screen as the radiologist was taking the x-rays. I could see the x-ray on the screen, and I could actually see the shape of my uterus. So I watched the dye go in and go around and come right back out, and I could feel it all gushing out. And I heard the radiologist say there's spillage from the vagina. He had to try it again. I basically had 2 HSGs back to back, and so he did it again. I could feel that same intense burning sensation on the inside of me. I was crying and swearing. I was yelling, oh my God, it was so bad. Well, again, the dye goes up and around and comes right back out of my vagina, and it did not flush the tubes. I hear the radiologist say there is no tubal flushing. Right away, I had a few signs. There was a few clues for me that told me that my tubes were not open. The radiologist just said the tubes were not open. The dye came back out of my vagina, which if the tubes were open, it would go through the tubes and into the pelvis, and it wouldn't come back out of me. So that was my second clue. And it was also extremely painful, and I do believe that the pain was because of those blockages, the proximal blockages right at the uterus. I waited a few weeks to get the results, and when I finally did get the results, they came back inconclusive, which was extremely frustrating that they didn't just diagnose me right away with blocked fallopian tubes. The reason that they were inconclusive is because the dye came back out of the vagina, which shows that they basically don't know what happened, or I have no idea why the results were inconclusive. Later on down the road, it actually kind of stood in my way for getting the fallopian tube recanalization procedure, where that's a whole other thing with a whole other story that I can talk about in a different video. But to get that procedure, I had to have conclusive results on my HSG showing I needed to have my tubes opened up, which I didn't have an HSG that proved anything. It all was for nothing, the whole experience, because the results came back inconclusive. In hindsight, I'm not a fan of taking drugs or pain medications, but if I had known how painful it was going to be beforehand, I would have asked for something stronger. And in fact, when I went for my fallopian tube recanalization procedure, they told me I would require another HSG, and I flat out refused to do that. And I demanded to be sedated for my next, for the FTR, because I just knew that I couldn't go through that pain again. It was unlike anything I'd ever experienced before. The rest of the day after the procedure, I definitely just laid on the couch with a hot water bottle. I would say take the rest of the day off. If you are getting an HSG, take the afternoon off from work or responsibilities. Have somebody there to take care of you afterwards, and just don't get up from the couch. Either get in your bed or get on the couch and just watch TV and have a hot water bottle and just relax. I did have a little bit of bleeding after the procedure, but for the most part that is normal. I noticed that there was some purple bluish discharge afterwards, which again, that's just the contrast fluid that's kind of making its way out. That's also totally normal. The recovery time is definitely 24 hours, I would say, less than a day. If you have open fallopian tubes, there's a really good chance that you will get this procedure and it will just flush them out and you won't even feel any pain. There's so many women who say there's no pain. I think that if there's any kind of blockage at all, even minor, it's likely to cause you pain, because it's essentially fluid forcing your uterus open more and bigger, which it doesn't ever have that sensation. So I can understand why that would be painful. Altogether, from the time that I had my OBGYN appointment and to the time that I got in for my HSG procedure was about 1 month. So I didn't have a very long wait time, which I was at the time very grateful for. It's crazy how many months can go by doing these things and still never getting that end result. I should note that I did not get pregnant after my HSG. I was super hopeful that I would, but given that my results were inconclusive and my tubes were closed, I did not get pregnant. I have made some videos talking about my experience opening my tubes back up, so I can link those in the description for you if you're interested in that. I just wanted to document my HSG experience because I think that this information is so helpful for any other woman who is going through this or going to be going through it, or even just for those women who also had an HSG and it was extremely painful. I know it can feel really validating for me when I link up with other women who have been through something similar or have gone through it or will be going through it. It just feels so good to talk and connect with these women. If I missed anything, if you have any questions for me, please leave me a comment below. I love connecting with you and hearing your stories, and it means so much to me if you would like and subscribe to my channel. I'm almost at 100 subscribers, which just blows me away. I'm so excited about that. So leave me a comment and I would love to connect with you. So thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time.